This is the 2017 Genesis G90. This is a nice looking car, and it does look good in black, although it makes it difficult to do camera work in the sun. It doesn't show up very well. And here's our view from the rear. While the paint color doesn't show up very well on camera, the dirt certainly does. You just can't keep this color clean. I've had to wash this every single day. It just doesn't do any good. Same with the black interior. That needs to be vacuumed out and washed about every day. Some pigeons jumped out in front of my car the other day, and what a mess. The PETA people are going to be giving me a call, I'll bet, after this video gets posted. And since black paint attracts heat like a magnet, and it's 102 degrees outside, I've been roasting alive, but that's not the manufacturer's fault. They do offer other colors. This just wasn't a good time of the year to send me a black car, that's all. Anyhow, we'll get on with the car test for itself. I'm sure you're interested in the price tag. I might point out before I go any further that these come totally equipped with everything. There really aren't any options aside from going to all-wheel drive from rear-wheel drive. Here's the list of standard equipment. And here's the price. $0. That's because this was one of the first off the assembly line, and it was sent to journalists to test, and it's not really for sale. Basically, we're looking at $68,000 for the V6 and around $72,000 for the V8, and a few bucks more if you want the all-wheel drive system. The window sticker claims this is a rear-wheel drive, but I guess someone in Korea made a mistake. As the rear tab says, this is the all-wheel drive H-Track. And it is 89% Korean made, which explains the high quality I've been looking at. And as always on my videos, one of the first things we do before we go on a test drive is to try out the headlights and see how they perform in the dark. It says here on the headlight plate by Xenon. Just for the record, if you order the V8 engine instead of the V6, you get LED lights instead. So the performance results on these lights that we will be seeing will apply only to the V6, not the V8. It's dark enough, so let's check out these G90 headlights and see what we get. Here we have the low beams on a wall 100 feet away. As you can see, the lights are bright, but the drop-off a bit low. Now we go to high beam. No problem here. Here we have the high beams on a building 300 feet away. Plenty of light. Go to low beam, doesn't reach, but more than adequate for city use, I suppose. I have not tried the LED lights that are on the V8 model. They might be better, they might be worse. I don't know at this point. By the way, here's the camera system. Gives a good view in the dark. Here's what the navigation looks like in the dark, but if you want to make it bigger, press the magic button. Here's another light feature. When you're in the dark parking lot looking for your car, you press the key fob to unlock the doors. And under the door, the Genesis emblem pops up, so everybody in the parking lot will know you're driving a Genesis. Even moves with the door. It gives you something for that 65 grand. On the freeway, these headlights are more than adequate for driving at high speeds. I also like the way this large navigation screen lights up. In fact, I like the way the entire vehicle lights up. Like being in the cockpit of a 747. But that's what you're paying for, right? This is the base engine, a 3.3 liter twin turbo V6 putting out 365 horsepower and a healthy 376 foot-pounds of torque most of it around the 1300 to 1400 RPM range. Fuel economy is listed at 17 to 24 mpg with an average of 20, but knock off 1 if you get the all-wheel drive system like we have here. If the 0 to 60 time of just under 6 seconds doesn't impress you, keep in mind this is a heavy car. With driver and a full tank of gas, we're talking around 5,500 pounds. This is no lightweight. If you need more power, there's the 5.0 liter V8 putting out 425 horsepower, a bit more torque at 383 foot-pounds. Fuel economy is listed at 15 to 23 with an average of 19 in two-wheel drive. It's a bit more peppy when leaving the starting line, a 0 to 60 of just over 5 seconds. A lot of people have asked me why somebody would want to spend around 70 grand for a luxury car and then pass up the nice V8 for the V6 instead. It's a legit question, and frankly, if it was me, I'd rather fork up the money for the V8. But keep in mind that most people that drive these big luxury barges don't drive very fast, rarely go over the speed limit, and for them, the V6 is more than adequate, trust me. So let's take a look at the cabin, and there's plenty of room in here, especially in the rear seating, which you could fit 3 in here, I suppose. Unless you lower that center console, then you're down to 2. But 2 large full-size adults. There's a decent-sized trunk, as you would expect on a barge this big. There is a spare tire under there somewhere. We get a nice-looking, useful gauge cluster. A simple climate control system. The usual rotary knob with all of the goodies that you will take a few days to have to learn. And plenty of items to learn from. The usual heated and cooled seating controls. The rear sunshade. We have 4 driving modes to choose from. Smart, Sport, Eco, and individual settings. And every time you start the car, it'll bring you back to that. I found the Smart mode to be the best overall. The computer sees how you're driving and adjusts accordingly. I thought it worked pretty good. I did find adjusting the presets to be a bit of a pain, and people ask me, why didn't you read the owner's manual? No, if you think I'm going to go through all of that, I think there's, 1,000 pages there. Nope, don't do that. It took me 3 days to figure it out, though. So you won't have an issue if you buy the car. You got all the time to do it, right? Just a word of warning, when you step into this car, every time you turn it off, you're going to hear this very annoying chime. Might not be annoying right away, but after the 1,000th time, it gets on your nerves. I could play this for about an hour to see how long you want to listen to it. It took me about 4 days to figure it out, but if you pull up welcome sound on the menu, you can turn this thing off. Thank goodness. I don't want to hear that. Now look at the bright side. I saved you all the trouble of going through 1,000 pages in the owner's manual to find out how to turn off that annoying chime, so it was worth it to watch this video. By the way, this is a nice large glove box, but only if you take the 7 owner's books out and stick them in the trunk where they won't be a bother. A little tip for you. You know, with this massive weight of 5,500 pounds and all-wheel drive, I'm surprised this thing accelerates as good as it does. More than adequate power. And very nice brakes. And if the sport mode isn't quick enough for you, you can always use the paddle shifters for manual shifting, mounted on the steering wheel where they belong, not on the steering column like some cars where they don't belong. Easy to reach, very well designed. I'm beginning to understand why it's so windy out there. But this car is still pretty stable in the high crosswinds. We're going to take the G90 on a 400-mile highway trip. It'll give us a chance to evaluate the real-world fuel economy and also see how comfortable it is for long trips. I've been driving this vehicle for 700 miles, and I can say that as far as ride comfort and wind noise, this is definitely equal to any European or Japanese luxury car. A very nice ride. Here we go, 378 miles at 23.9 mpg. Now let's see what we get on the return trip. I can't believe this nonsense. I pick up this car in Arizona. I'm paying $2.15 a gallon. I cross the state line just a couple miles over. They want $3.47. For all you Californians watching this video, no wonder your whole state's screwed up. Unbelievable. Here's my return trip, 360 miles, 24 mpg. Just for the record, that was 738 miles of driving, 12 hours worth of driving, all in the same day, 24-hour period. 6.5 hours going to and 5.5 hours coming back. This brings us to the subject of seat comfort. Now these are soft plush chairs, great for 1-hour trips, 2-hour trips, 3-hour trips, but when you get to that 4 or 5, 6 hour, a bit too soft for me. Need something a bit firmer. But for 99% of the drivers, these will do just fine. Here's my overall take on the G90. Number one, yes, it is equal to the high-end German and Japanese luxury cars. That's not an issue. But if you don't want to spend 60 to 70 grand on a Hyundai, wait 2 or 3 years and pick up a nice used one and still have a nice long warranty. That's probably what I would do. And yes, with the black paint, it does have that limousine look, which translates into an expensive look, but unless you want to wash that black paint every day, you might want to choose some other nice colors from the Genesis line. But your choice.